Standing here in this tabernacle, a wealth of meanings crowd my mind. I'm thinking of the heritage that is reflected here and of the history that is enshrined in this place. This campground near West Middlesex, Pennsylvania, has since 1916 been the site of meetings for fellowship, Christian nurture, and for the development of leaders to promote the work of holiness and unity, the two doctrinal hallmarks of the Church of God Reformation movement. Our headquarters are in Anderson, Indiana, and this regional camp meeting here at West Middlesex has been in operation since 1916. The organization behind the meeting developed 1 year later in 1917 and was called the National Association of the Church of God. It's a voluntary group of congregations, largely African American in background, and we exist to promote spiritual unity and the development of holiness in Christian believers. I mentioned African Americans. African Americans are the largest ethnic minority within the Church of God Reformation movement, and this has been so for many, many years. We became a part of the Church of God Reformation movement as early as 1884. One of the first of our brothers and sisters who belonged to our group was Jane Williams, who established a congregation of the Church of God in Charleston, South Carolina, and she began writing to the editor of the denominational journal, the Gospel Trumpet as it was called at the time, and received such encouragement and assistance that the work began to spread through the sharing of literature and through the coming of leaders back to the South in order to help develop congregational life. In those days, African Americans were very much enthralled by the message of unity because of the social proscriptions that we experienced here in America. The very mention of the late part of the 19th century will acquaint many of you with the understanding of where the nation was with reference to relating to blacks and all the proscriptions that blacks had to endure because of social problems, particularly in the south of our nation. But blacks were drawn to the movement because of the unity that was exemplified by the leaders who visited the South and preached there. And so the message was one of appeal for openness, togetherness, love, and sharing. But along with that message of unity was also the message of holiness. Many of those who came to belong to the movement and who later became a part of this particular association within the movement belonged to other denominational groups that did not stress what the New Testament refers to as holiness of life. And so the preaching of the pioneer preachers about holiness of life, Christian character, obedience, appealed to those who were serious of heart. And so they joined with all the others to help promote the spread of this message. One of those leaders from the South, R.J. Smith, became the first president of this national association and was one of the prime leaders who helped to develop this campground and the meeting which developed here as a result of their organizational skills. R.J. Smith was at the time a pastor in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the church in Pittsburgh became one of the sponsoring congregations because that was one of the strongest of the congregations here in the East. That congregation helped to spread the message, and so the message went across the United States, and what began as a regional small meeting here in 1916 became a national organization but also there was the visible attractiveness of what was happening here, for whites and blacks joined in fellowship to such an extent that there was no division on these grounds. That was the case then, that is the case now. In 2016, we will celebrate the centennial of this particular camp meeting, and we are rejoicing in the Lord that God has strengthened us and has provided the kind of leadership which has made this camp meeting continue since that time until now and has flourished with strength and zest.